Opportunity here for Plymouth. And again they come close. Oh, and it's in! Ball's played in. Chance for Sunderland!
Oh, there we go!
Is it all runs away? And Sunderland are back in this. It's Roberts. Clips one in. Comes all the way through. Sunderland go in front! Plymouth had the ball inside the Sunderland penalty area. Sorinola.
There you go. How many times have we had opportunities to clear the ball there, not dealt with it?
Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Lee Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today I'm joined by Alistair, who is in Melbourne. Alistair, good evening to you, mate.
Good evening to you, mate.
How's everything?
Pretty good. Apart from the result yesterday, everything's pretty good. It's nice weather here in Melbourne, but yeah, terrible result.
Yep. And we've also got Paul. He's on for his second time. Paul's in Thailand. Good afternoon to you, Paul. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. Good afternoon, Lee.
Cheers. Right then, so yesterday we played Plymouth at home. Everyone was expecting a comfortable 3 points. It didn't turn out that way. We drew 2-2. Alistair, first feelings about that result yesterday?
Points dropped, simple as that. You know, Plymouth, the bottom of the table, they'd got belted by Burnley. You know, I looked at their form before that, and you just thought that was 3 points for the taking. It was 3 points for the taking, and I don't know what it is. I don't know whether we felt complacent. It just seemed like we weren't up for it. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, but playing Samad in his first game felt like an odd choice. In a game where we're playing a team that is so low on confidence, they're bottom of the table, we're playing a defensive midfielder, you know, in front of the back four. It felt like a really odd choice. And we should have been going at them from the start, and we just didn't. We just looked like we weren't great in the first half, but we had some chances. The second half, when we moved to 4-4-2, we looked even worse in my mind. But I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is at the moment that when we play teams like Plymouth, we should be a certain authority and you know, going for it and having that little bit of ruthlessness, and we just didn't have that yesterday. And it was a bad result, and I think the performance was pretty poor as well. You know, apart from him, maybe Isidore and Laffy, I don't know who else really did well yesterday. There's so much to unpack from it, and yeah, just disappointment is the overriding feeling, I think, for me.
Yeah. And Paul, I mean, I think Alistair touched on it there, that the talking point was the starting 11 and Samed being the starting 11. I mean, I was baffled as well. Like, playing a defensive midfielder against the worst team in the league that hadn't won away from home, for me, was just completely baffling. Do you agree with that?
You know, historically, if it can go wrong, it bloody well will. And I was terrified when I saw all those negative stats. This guy hasn't scored since he scored against Sunderland. Another lad hasn't scored for a bloody year. They just got thrashed 5-0. And I suppose the only reason it wasn't actually sort of just genuine anger, although I was genuinely angry, and I thought I'd got over that. Those days, when I left the UK, I was like, I'm not going to get as wound up as I used to be, because these are weekend killers, these games. I know when I was in the UK, we were still in the Premier League getting walloped all the time. And I was like, this isn't fun. This isn't enjoyable. This isn't a positive aspect of living, supporting this thing that I can't control. I have no direct control over it. I'm somehow emotionally invested in it, and it's cruel. So it felt a bit like that, like the good old days. And you just knew the writing was on the wall. It was bloody obvious they were going to equalise. It was so obvious. I mean, I was a little bit drunk because it was late at night here. It was like 11:30 on a Saturday night, mate. So I was pissed up, and you just sense it. You just know it's going to happen. And the way it happened was they brought on a 6'4" bloke. You've got Luke O'Nien, he's 5'9", and you've got Was it Ballard was still on then, wasn't he?
Meppen
Meppen
was
was
on,
on.
Ballard was on.
And that's all you need, a 6'4" guy who could just, he just nodded. I think it was JD, just sort of nodded it. It controlled it, just off his head. And there's the fella runs round the side and just smashes it in from the side. That's how easy it is for teams to score against us.
Yeah.
But if we need to score a goal, where's the tap-ins, man?
Yeah.
Where's the well-worked stuff?
Well, there was
Wilson's goal was good.
Yeah.
And the writing had been on the wall before then. Like, Plymouth had had plenty of good chances. Like Hardy had missed a goal,
Oh,
Callum
God,
Wright should have
yeah.
scored.
Yeah.
Like the guy whose name I can't pronounce,
Randall?
Patches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Lucha?
floated a beautiful ball in from the right, which if anyone had got a touch on, it was a goal. Like, so you're right, the writing was on the wall. Yeah,
I
it
think
wasn't a lucky
It's
goal by any chance.
no,
the,
no.
and you mentioned there, like Paul, about like where's our tap-ins? I mean, there was one chance we had in the second half when we had a free kick. I think it was Paddy Roberts whipped it in, and I'm not sure if I think it was Job who got the header, and like the keeper parried it down, and there was absolutely no one.
I think it was
No one
Lafay
there.
who got the header. He got the
Uh,
header,
there was no
and
one
yeah,
following in.
Nope.
no, there
I
wasn't.
remember that distinct moment. That is a goal for the opposition. If Patterson taps it out there, knocks it out there, palms it out, it goes in the back of our net.
Yeah.
And I'm just counting the moments, and I was thinking because I'm doing this today, should I make notes of this, or does that seem a bit anal? Like if I go in there and say on the 13th minute there was this incident, and on the 78th minute there was, but there must have been a good few of those in that whole first half where it was like. Even Frankie said it during the thing. They're going to come in and they're going to park the bag. It's going to sit back. So someone they're going to have to try and do something to deal with that, and they didn't deal with it. They did not deal with it at all. It was nice playing it out from the back and getting it down the side, and he didn't do anything with it though. And Wilson was completely isolated. It was crazy, really, because Job and Neil it was awful. It was absolutely awful. They should be two attacking midfielders with a CDM, right? So CDM gets the ball deep, pings it up to them. They're big lads. They can hold the ball off, dink it off to the left. None of that happened. None of it.
Yeah.
Not a bloody thing.
No.
No, and Samad, like everything he did was neat and tidy, but like there was nothing. Like we needed someone like with a bit of creation to play it out from the back there, and that
He
didn't
left his
happen.
keys at home, mate. That's what happened. Sam had left is that his name? Sam left his keys, mate. The man with the keys, but his keys left him at home.
Yeah.
He left his keys at home. There's nothing to unlock, that's for sure. But just such a baffling choice. And I looked at, I saw some comments from Labrie afterwards, saying that he needed to bring them in, and it's a long season. And I kind of get that to an extent. Like, we have got a bunch of injuries, and it is a long season. But at the same time, you've got to play your best 11 for the 90 minutes that's in front of you, and I don't think he did that at all. And it was just such a baffling choice to bring on a defensive midfielder when you got a team that is leaking goals, so low on confidence, they're bottom of the table, they're there for the taking, and we set up defensively. It just didn't make sense to me at all. But anyway, yeah.
Well, no, I mean his comments after the match were also like rose suspicion for me as well because he mentioned he said, "Oh yeah, if we want to be competitive at the top of this league, we need to be more ambitious." And I was thinking, but you've just played a defensive midfielder against the worst team in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is that ambition? That's not showing ambition.
It's
And
not.
and then obviously for me like I just pissed myself laughing when at 76 minutes he makes Ballard for Serkin and Rig for Roberts, which are two defensive changes because Rig is not an attacking midfielder. He's like basically a number 8 centre midfielder, neat and tidy. He's not going to go gung ho attacking. And then, well, the straw that broke the camel's back was like Hjelde for Isidore on 88 minutes.
That was crazy. That was crazy. He like Isidore, even though like we just talked about, he was isolated. He's still a focal point. He scored a goal. He's a focal point, and we take him off. It is literally like inviting Plymouth to come on to us. I'm Look, I'm a fan of Bris. I think what he's done since he's been here has been generally good. And I think, like I said earlier, I think, the position we're at in the table right now, at the start of the season, we all would have taken
Amazing.
happily.
Yeah, amazing.
But I just, yeah, playing Samad and then like taking Isidore off and bringing on Elger is just crazy. I don't, we should be, I don't know, we should be like taking the sword to them and really like making the game ours, not nervously like defending, for our lives against the bottom team, with 15 minutes to play. And the fact that they scored in the 90th minute is just, yeah, I still can't take it. I still, like, I watched that goal and I just thought, it's so Sunderland, but yeah,
Yeah,
it
Paul,
sucks. It
Paul,
sucks.
yeah, Paul, and he's also in his comments after the match, he said that I don't know, it's been a long week. Maybe the players are tired. Uh, I mean, he's had loads of chances in the season to integrate more squad players into the team from the bench or from starting 11. I mean, when we played like games like Oxford and Derby earlier in the season, we beat them 2-0 at home. When we beat Sheffield Wednesday, he had chances to bring players on to give them minutes, but he didn't. He always like didn't make any subs. And now he's making 4 subs in the game, but all the subs are very defensive unless we're getting beat. If we're getting beat, then he'll make attacking changes. But if we're winning, he just shits himself and then he brings on all of these defensive players. What is it with him and his tactics at the minute?
We still don't know what his involvement is with the selection of the players. He's the head coach, and that means he's the head coach. And I suspect Mr. Dodds might have had a say yesterday at some point. It felt like it. It just felt like that. It seemed like, are you not watching the same game as everybody else and seeing how this Plymouth team kept it tight at the back successfully for the first half? They started to come out a bit and then they put on the big lads. Then we were in a League One game for the last 20, 25 minutes. That's what I was watching, a League One match. And uh, I don't know. I don't
I
know
don't know whether
how
it's
much
Dodds though.
control he has. No, well, you've got Dodds, you've got the assistant manager, and you've got Regis Labrie. He's got the
And
final
you've got
say.
Speakman as well, and you've also got
Well,
contract situations as well. And you
yep.
don't know, like for example, like it's great that we've tied Bellingham down, right? And that's fantastic. But he's playing every game.
Mm,
I don't know, and I just genuinely don't know what the contract situations are with these players. Like Samed supposedly has got this great pedigree behind him, and he's come to Sunderland. The same with Lafay as well. Like a
mm.
player with a great pedigree. What's in the contract? And I don't know. Like genuinely, I don't know. But what is in their contracts about their playing time? So for someone like Samad, if he's fit, is it in the contract that he has to play? I don't know.
Mm.
But if those things are in the contract, it does really skew how we're setting up our teams. And it is really
Mm.
hard for a head coach if they've got those constraints. And again, that's an if because I genuinely don't know. But it does make it very hard then to put out a team that you think is a team that's going to win.
Yeah. For me, with Samed playing yesterday, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts against Middlesbrough. And I think Labrie might go defensive against Middlesbrough and try and nick a win. And that's the reason why he played yesterday to give him some minutes. But for me, right now in this stage of the season, we don't need a Samed type player in the starting 11 because
But
we've
it would
seen.
make sense against Middlesbrough. It would make sense away at Middlesbrough to play a defensive midfielder and try and nick something. That makes sense. Not at home against the lowest team in the league. That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
That to me is just poor management or his hands being forced.
I think
Because
they thought.
yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I'm sorry. I think that having conversations in real time as It's an old-fashioned thing, isn't it?
It's very old-fashioned.
People speak over each other, or they just send voice messages to each other. But I think they probably thought, well, this guy's really good, and we can put him in as a CDM. We can push Job and Daniel further forward, which in theory is a great idea. And it didn't work. But they probably thought we will be in control of the game. We'll have the more possession, and in this sense, it worked in the first half. And yet, some he was just like short balls behind and either side. But I kept seeing Joe. I kept seeing him dropping deep again and again and again. What's the point of going deep? He gets the ball, he knocks it straight back to the defender. I see it time and time again. This is obviously the Sunderland way, right? The bloody Spanishy type football. But you just took the guy from 30 yards up the field where he might be useful if we can ping a ball to Job or Daniel. But if he's going to come deep and do that thing again, which he's obviously been doing all season, it's hard, isn't it, to get them to think, oh, actually, I don't need to do that anymore because that guy's there, Samed. So Job doesn't need to go deep, and Daniel doesn't need to go deeper. They need to stay where they are, and it didn't bloody work. That's why it didn't work. They didn't stay where they are meant to stay. Stay up the field, cause the problems in that end of the field, not that end.
Well, like Neil had that great volley from I can't remember the distance, and it was a great shot, and it deserved to go in. But you can't just reorganize a system and the personnel and expect it to work straight like that, you know. And Samad, I think, by all accounts, is a good player, and I think he will bring something to the team. But it's going to take time. You can't, like you say, you can't just bring it in straight away and expect it to work off the bat. And I think, yeah, I'm still baffled. I'm still baffled that this was the way we set up against the bottom team in the league that are leaking goals left, right, and centre. And yeah.
But
But do you know what? I'm not going to take anything away from Plymouth because they went for it. And I think they're not a great team, but they came to Sunderland, bottom of the league. And, you know, like we said, Hardy had a missed goal. Callum Wright should have had a goal. They had some good balls into the box, and they went for it, and we couldn't cope with it. So, yeah.
I think it's the story of the season that when teams play against us, that in the first half they will sit in against us, defend, and then in the second half they will get at us, and we just don't know how to react to that. I mean, Paul, you mentioned before, like possession. I mean, yesterday in the first half, we had 77% possession and they had 23%. But all we're
It's
doing,
crazy.
all we're doing is we're just like neat and tidy, but we're not really doing anything with them. We're not hurting the opposition, are we? Not really.
No, not at all. It was. That's when it was like, oh no, it's going to be one of these games. It's going to be one of these games. We might even lose this game. That's what I'm thinking in the first half. Like, this is okay. We've got the ball. Look at that ball. We've got over 70%. What are they actually doing with it? What's of the play? The end of the sequence. I think Roberts might need to be dropped. Oh my bloody God! Somebody's going to complain about that. But I'm sorry,
I agree.
he's
I
done
think
nothing.
Roberts needs to be dropped.
If we could drop him, not because he's a horrible person, but because his actual like contribution has actually not been that great for the last 12 months. We do need some sort of something to happen there on the right wing. He's a great little player. All teams know the ball's going to come at us through him or him. And then of course we have the wonderful good luck that we always seem to get Sunderland, which is we start the season with Clark when we did very well. Remember the difference between this team, how it plays now, and the first 6 games when we were buzzing around up the top there, chasing down and it's a remarkable difference. I mean, the closing down is just, it's just different. But as is often the case, we start with Clark, we're doing well, we lose Clark, we bring in Muddle, he does very bloody well, and then he gets injured, and then we bring in what's his name, the young lad, Watson,
Tommy
Watson, yeah.
Hang on. All right. One bad bit of bad luck, maybe your player gets sold, you can understand that. Player gets injured, you understand that. Another guy gets injured in exactly the same position. Clearly, these teams are that's the threat, that's the danger there on the left and on the right, and that's where they put the two or three men. You could see that yesterday. It was two or three guys closing them down as soon as they got the ball. What's happened to Sirkin, man? Where's this gung ho?
Do you know what
Timid.
frustrates me about Serkin is that how easy he goes down under pressure looking for free kicks all the time, and he rarely gets them because he falls down like a sack of potatoes, doesn't he? He's just got no resistance at all to stand up to any kind of challenge. I think with Roberts, right? My opinion, and I think this is on the left hand side as well. At the start of the season, we used to play these little triangles, didn't we? Like between
Yeah.
the fullback, the winger, and one of the midfielders, and we've completely stopped doing that. So there's actually no structure to our play on the wings, and our wingers are basically the creativity of the team. I mean, Alistair, I don't know what you thought about Enzo Lefebvre yesterday. I thought he was very good in the first half, but he was very quiet in the second half. But I think that was down to Plymouth putting two or three men on him every time, and he just didn't have any space to do anything.
I think there's that. I think there's that absolute. I think you're right. I think he's being played out of position as well. I think again, it's this crazy idea if we're trying to shoehorn players into positions that they're not, necessarily, good in. To me, and again, it's my limited knowledge of Lafay, but to me, he's in that Dan Neil position of building up. So putting him in that position seemed crazy. Also, it's his second game for us. You know, as we've seen with a lot of players, like with Jack Clark, players take time to really find their feet and find their stride. And we've seen glimpses from him that he's a good player. And I think even today, I think he showed those glimpses that he's a good player. But we're going to need to play him where he's going to offer the best value to the team, not just in a position where we think we can put it in. Like, I'm surprised we dropped a deal yesterday. Like, I know that there's a lot of questions around his contract situation. Is he going to move on? But I think the last couple of games, I think he's been good for us. He's been good on that left wing position. I'm surprised he didn't get a start, personally. But
Yeah,
again,
I think he's going to be gone before the end of the window. I don't know if you heard
I'm not surprised. I'm
I
not
don't
surprised.
I don't know if you heard the last podcast, but I mentioned it that after the Burnley game, I put on social media that I thought our Sheesh was unlucky not to be playing, and a few hours later, I received like an anonymous private message on X from a French speaking account who said like, "Thanks for your support for Adil, but Bris doesn't count on him, and he'll be leaving on loan before the window shuts." And given the fact that he hasn't been on the pitch in the last, what, three games, apart from the FA Cup game, I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
Which
But
is a shame
yeah,
because he's not been playing. He's not been playing, but when he's come on, he's done well for us. And, given, the rogues gallery of shit players we've had for Sunderland that, stole a living from us, you got this player that's come in. He's, you know, he's not had first team opportunities, but when he has, he's tried his best and he's given something. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I feel like he could have offered something yesterday.
I saw a comment on social media, right, which said like Adil Al-Shish is not good enough and he's blocking the pathway for our young players. I was like, Al-Shish is 22-year-old.
He's 20, exactly, he's 22. And, when he's come on for us recently, obviously Watson's injured, Mundell's injured. He's come on and he's done a job for us. I'm not saying he's been a world beater, but he's done a job for us. And for someone who isn't playing regularly to come on and, you know, do well, I think that speaks volumes. But obviously, like you say, Labrie doesn't value him, doesn't rate him. And I think, yeah, I'd made a note earlier, just to what you were saying, Lee, that the fact that he wasn't involved yesterday probably indicates that he's going to be moving on.
Yeah. Uh, Paul, what do you think about Lefebvre? Where do you think his best position is?
I don't know. I didn't even know who the man was with a Billy Connolly accent until about 2 weeks ago. He seems to be a central midfielder that can play as an attacking midfielder. And we need someone on the left wing, so he's been put there, and we haven't seen the best of him yet. I think we must be paying him a king's ransom. I don't recall Sunderland committing that much finance to say when we're in the Championship, to take this fella from, where is he from, Roma or something? He must be
Roma, yeah.
50 grand a week. We can't afford to pay that, but apparently
we
can.
Money.
It's probably double, triple what some of the other players are on. I think with Sunderland this season, I hope we don't go up. I know that's not a popular viewpoint. I do not want us to go up. I'm enjoying the Championship. And the only people that want us to go up are the money men. And I can see, yes, it's business at the end of the day, but it's not. It's a football club. If you want a business, go and run a business, open a shop, do something else. This is not a business in that sense. But fortunately, in modern football, it's business first, football second. But when the team settles, because it hasn't settled, it hasn't had a chance to settle. It was settled in the beginning, first 6 to 8 games. That was kind of settled. Then the injuries started coming in. Then we lost Jack Clark, and then it's just dum. It's quite amazing. We're still doing that well, and that gap between us and fifth is bloody amazing. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't recall that in previous seasons. The 10-point gap between fourth and fifth, or fifth and sixth, or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
But they haven't settled yet, and the midfield hasn't settled, because again, we're going to go through a transition. So Sam Ed's available now. Right. If he plays as a defensive central midfielder, what do we do with the other 2 positions? Or do we play him alongside Dan Neil? Or do we play him alongside Joe, who seems to be a bit of a box-to-box? And then do that. Do that. And then you need to sort out what's going on up front. And I think Mayenda's done all right, where Patrick Roberts has been. Pervader's come back now.
I agree.
So again, it's this transitional period, and it seems to be, I think let's say the last 8 games or 10 games of the season, I think, fingers crossed, God willing, injuries will have subsided a bit, and we can sort of, right, because that's my 11. Right, Regis has to have an 11, right? That's my 11 there. Boom. And that's going to be Mundell on the left or Watson on the left, and then we can sort the midfield out from there, because and then we can all piece it together. Having said all that, and Brad Wilson scored, because God, he'd been unlucky. Lads, was he offside or not offside?
I don't think
Last
so.
game.
The Derby game. It didn't look like it, did it? Not? It didn't look like it was offside.
We could spend I think we could spend a whole podcast on that ghost goal, because
I just wanted to slip it in there. You know what I mean? Just slip it in there.
Yeah, but I to this day do not know why that goal was disallowed. It didn't look offside. It didn't look as if anyone was interfering with play. And the fact it took so long to call, I'm still baffled. But it is what it is. That's football, right?
But on to his goal yesterday, Alistair. I mean, it was actually some nice play from Trey Hume on the right-hand side, getting a ball into the box, which is what he needs. He needs service. And he's got that in his locker, hasn't he, to get across to the defender and get his long leg ahead of the player and just tap it in. And it was like a typical Isidore goal, wasn't
it? It was, but at the same time, Isidore's scored a couple of crackers this season. He's one of those players we haven't had I feel that we haven't had for a while, that he's exciting. He's scored a couple of screamers for us this season. He's an interesting player, and I don't still know where his best position is. Is he like a winger, that sort of Thierry Henry kind of winger, or is he more of that straight number 9? I don't know yet, but look, it was a good goal. I was really pleased with his reaction after the game, that he seemed genuinely disappointed that we'd drawn. Look, I find him to use a cliche, he's quite an enigma of a player, because he's got something in his locker, but I feel like we could get more out of him.
Yeah.
So when you say it was a standard goal for him, is it? I don't know. I feel like, what's he got, like 1 in 3? If my memory serves, please correct me, but I think he's scoring like 1 in 3. in recent times it's pretty good for Sunderland, but it's not a brilliant strike rate overall. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, it was his ninth goal yesterday, and then like I mean he is our top scorer, and he probably could have and should have had what 11, 12, 13 even goals. Right, but I just want to move on, Paul, to the Hume goal. Nice tidy finish from Trey Hume into the bottom corner. He frustrated me though for the Plymouth goal because he just seemed to give up, didn't he? When I don't know if you saw it, like basically he was chasing the guy across the box and he just kind of gave up, and then the guy whacks it in, and then Hardy puts it under Patterson. It was disappointing to see how he just gave up. So he kind of redeemed himself with the assist and his goal. But apart from that, I think his performances aren't at the level that they were at the start of the season for him. What do you think?
Um, he's not. He's not. I think the confidence thing. He's still doing the overlaps. We're still seeing the overlaps, but it's because Roberts gets dispossessed that breaks down, and I think he must have a mindset of what's the. I mean, I'm not a footballer, but I mean, what's the percentages here? Is Patrick gonna keep it, and I'm gonna go past him, and I'm gonna keep going? And then he had that opportunity to guess what happened? He crossed the ball in, and we bloody score. Well, because there's a 6 foot lad in the centre there who scores the goal. So that's our way of scoring, crossing, good cross as well. As for his defensive work, I don't know really. I mean, what's his stats on Football Manager? Well, is he more of an attacking fullback, or is he more of a defending fullback? I think he's a bit of both, and given the right circumstances, Hume's definitely an asset. Definitely an asset.
But does he need like competition there to kind of push him more, maybe? Because he hasn't got that.
Yeah.
Is he playing is he playing on the safe side? I mean, we
Well, he
always see him.
did.
Yeah.
He did, didn't he? He had the Huggins. And then
Yeah.
last time I saw Huggins, he scored an absolute worldie. And then, of course, he got injured. So just round and round we go. Round we bloody go. And this is just one of those seasons, but we do seem to have some terrible injuries at Sunderland. Like the ground has got some sort of hex on it or something.
Yeah.
We've had some shocking injuries. Yeah.
Well, Chris Wilder was like bemoaning his team's injuries. But Bris has been kind of more diplomatic about it, hasn't he? He's just been saying, well, it is what it is, isn't it? Well, you've got to get on with it. But here's some stats then for you that I saw yesterday was 36% of goals conceded this season have come in the last 10 minutes. What do you think about that, Alistair?
That I'm not a psychologist, but that to me just yells a mindset problem. Like I thought defensively yesterday we were shocking. I thought Meffam, who has been really solid for us, was pretty poor yesterday. I just thought we looked out of sorts. But yeah, I don't know. If you're conceding that late, what does that say about a team? I would love a psychologist to tell me what that says about a team. Look, I'll take nothing away from Plymouth yesterday. I thought they deserved the draw. They probably deserved to win, if I'm being completely blunt. I thought we weren't great at all. And I think it was the fact that the performance and the result was so poor. But yeah, I don't know. Someone had said, I read somewhere that, we've got this young team, and I kind of thought, well, yeah, we've got a young team, but at the same point, there's enough experience there. Like you look at the players we've got, like Hume's, had seasons under his belt, Ballard, O'Neill, Meffam, Bellingham now he's in his second season for us. You kind of think, at what point do you stop losing that label of being a young team?
Yeah.
When can you stop using that as an excuse or a reason when do you start kind of going, okay, we've got a team like Plymouth, we've got to kill them, just literally ruthlessly kill them, and just take them out. I don't know. There's something wrong there.
Yeah.
Like losing. I watched the game yesterday, and losing that goal in the 90th minute was just. Like, I tried to be balanced. I tried to be like, well, look at the position and look at how far we've come. But I couldn't see that. All I could see is that we've just lost in the 90th minute to the bottom team, a really bad bottom team that deserved to be bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Were you surprised though? Did you not see
No,
it
I wasn't
coming,
surprised at
man?
all. And I'd read on one of the popular message boards, that they got thumped, 5-0 at home by Burnley, and their form previously has been really bad.
Well,
They're at
the antidote for that, for any team or any player that's got a negative stat. We
and that felt
oblige.
exactly it. It just felt like kismet, right?
Well,
they were going to equalise against us, but
before we finish, lads, I was going to tell you about this then. So our last 10 games, we've had 5 wins, 4 draws, and 1 defeat. For me, that doesn't sound like a team with automatic promotion ambitions. I think, okay, we're not losing many games, but we should be. It's getting to a stage now where we could be like a Jack Ross stage, isn't it? Like basically getting loads of draws and not getting enough wins. But I think it would be a pity because I think we haven't really seen a team batter us. I mean, maybe
no.
Leeds played better than us that time, but I mean, apart from that, I don't think we've battered anybody, any of the top 4. I think we've played well against them, but I don't think we've battered them. But it would be a shame if we don't go and give a little bit more and attack minded against these teams because, yeah, I think there is a good chance to get promoted because if we don't, I think we're going to have like some changes next season. I think some of the bigger players will probably leave. You're looking like maybe Rig, Job have been linked away. So we'll see.
And Neil, this window with West Ham and Everton.
Yeah.
I agree.
But anyway, lads,
yeah.
we're gonna have to call it a day today. We'll put ourselves out of our misery. Next game is against Middlesbrough away a week on Monday, so we've got a nice long rest. Hopefully, we can get a win against our local rivals, although I don't know if you guys consider it a derby.
I'm not calling them rivals. I'm not calling, yeah. That's a whole different conversation, but yeah.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed, yeah, we get a win against them.
Hopefully. But anyway, gentlemen, thanks for your time today, and how are the lads?